Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Real Whovians Cast 541. We're going to be starting something new tonight by reviewing the classic Doctor Who episodes, starting with my personal favorite, Spearhead from Space, John Pertwee's introductory episode. So we're going to be going real deep on actually talking about the episodes and getting into real in-depth analysis with these episodes. So hope you enjoy them.
All right. So
Spearhead from Space.
yes. Let me just let me introduce everybody first on the show. We got Chris. What's up, Chris?
Hey, sorry. I had it on mute.
Okay. What's up, Connor?
Hello?
What's up, John?
Not much. Real excited to be here.
Mike D's great opening. What's up, Mike D?
Reverse the polarity of the neutron flow.
That's it. Jacob?
Hey guys, how's it going?
What's up, bro? Okay. So this is also one of my favorite episodes because, you know, it has the Autons, and it's one of my favorite openings for a regeneration story. It didn't drag, it was fast-paced, and I thought everything fit perfectly. John Pertwee's performance, Brigadier establishing unit, introducing everybody to Liz Shaw, now, unit has become this huge part of Doctor Who because it's going to be the whole time with John Pertwee, okay? And they're going to be in every friggin' episode. So, before they appeared a little bit here or there, but now they're in the forefront. They're as much part of Doctor Who as the TARDIS is, okay? That's a big point. Also, last we saw the Doctor, he was punished by the Time Lords, and they forced his regeneration. So he's dealing with, the regeneration syndrome. Also, his memory's a little fried, as well as stuff from the TARDIS. Like, he can't control the TARDIS. He doesn't remember certain things with the TARDIS. The dematerialization code is changed. So, he says he has amnesia, but then he can remember things. So he's starting to, piece things together. And I really felt that this had unity, okay? This started the whole real closeness, like the close ties that the Doctor would have relationships with people that he would call upon later on. Like, there would constantly be a presence in his life. Like, unit will always be a presence in his life, even now. But, the episode starts off with the asteroids. Well, the meteorite. They thought it was meteorites, but it was. It turns out to be the Auton, the Nestine consciousness.
Yeah.
And this guy rounds up a whole
Channing.
bunch of. What's that?
Channing, right? Or you're talking
No,
about
no, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
Yeah. You're talking about the farmer.
Yeah, the farmer guy kind of rounds them up, and meanwhile at Unit HQ, the guy's like monitoring the stuff coming down, and they're saying how could the meteorites land in the same spot like 6 months later. It's like a total going to be about 50 of them, so to speak. And also, it just so happens that the Doctor's TARDIS appears around the area. He falls out of the TARDIS unconscious, and when they find out, they tell the Brigadier it's a blue box, like the police box. He knows, oh my God, that's got to be the Doctor. Okay, everything worked for me in this episode. Okay, the only thing I'm going to point out about Spearhead from Space that I didn't know until tonight was that they had some human barking like a dog that wasn't a real dog barking in the third part, which is called the dog, and the Auton's going to go in and hurt her. The guy's like, ruff, ruff. I mean, like, I was cracking up. If that's a real dog,
Well,
I'd be pissing myself.
well, they can't be too much of a complaint though. I've had some ex-girlfriends I made bark like a dog.
There you go. So, I mean, there is no real thing against Spirit in Space. I think it's one of the greatest episodes. And I'm very picky when it comes to a first episode of a Doctor. Really picky. Okay,
Right.
So I'm going to continue with Mike D. Go ahead.
Actually, if I may, I'd like to request to actually be maybe in the middle or towards the end. of talking about the episode.
Okay,
If I may.
very good. All right, Connor.
Yeah, I agree with everything that you said. I think that this is pretty much Doctor Who at its near flawless best.
Yeah.
I think that John Pertwee, being the first time that we saw John Pertwee, because unlike in other regenerations, we never saw his face prior to the introductory story. So this was literally the first time we'd ever seen John Pertwee when he fell out of the TARDIS. I remember watching a documentary on, I think it was a Spearhead from Space DVD, where Barry Letts, the producer at the time, said that this was Doctor Who. Like, they were trying to go too far. Well, they did end up going too far because it got a lot of complaints because it was extremely scary.
Right.
This was definitely I think this was the scariest episode, the first really, really scary episode of Doctor Who. Like,
Right, because it kind of recognized death. Because
yeah,
when in Doctor Who episode did you ever see a car crash and the guy's guts on the windshield?
yeah.
With the auton like right there, and it's like, whoa!
Yeah, and they were getting complaints from communities saying that they had no trust in their local police officer because of the scene where the police officer turns out to be an Auton, and they're driving, I think it's the Doctor and Liz, and they end up crashing the car, and the Auton falls off the cliff in that amazing stunt. Yeah, so it's like, this is the first time that Doctor Who went too far, and they had to rein it back in after this, but... yeah, like you said, it recognises death. There's an awful lot of death in this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I remember the first time I watched it, which it's like the fourth classic I ever saw. And when it got to the scene on the high street in London with the dummies in the shop windows, and they literally started massacring everyone, it was like being like the fourth classic I ever saw of Doctor Who. After seeing the first full series with Christopher Eccleston, this was like something completely different.
Right. This is the seriousness
Yeah,
of it. Not just the science fiction or whatever, but like this basically said, hey, these people will kill, like, humans. I mean, this is a threat. This is not just, the Daleks or an eye stalk, talking, or Cybermen and whatever. These guys just came and started shooting at people while they're walking. They were very scary for that, like that time period. The robots, like Stepford Wives, type of thing.
and the way that they looked as well,
like horror movies like that with the robots taking over.
yeah,
Well,
they had no distinguishable eyes, did they? So it was like just holes.
they're largely faceless killers, which it kind of works on a level where you can't reason with them. You're not going to talk them out of something. They're just killing machines.
Yeah, exactly. You can't talk your way out of it. That's the whole point, right?
Yeah,
And they have that scary noise when they go to shoot you. No, but it's kind of like, oh crap,
and also the fact that it's something like as common as shop dummy things in windows of shops. It's like, it's scary for people, particularly at that time, where I don't think that there was anything like that in other shows as well. So it's like,
nothing like that.
yeah, this is like pushing the boundaries. But like, John Pertwee was brilliant in it. I think Nicholas Courtney, it was like his third appearance in Doctor Who, if I'm correct.
Right, but he was awesome.
Yeah, he was really good.
He let the Doctor know, hey, listen, we're getting noticed. I mean, we're going to need you here. So kind of mutual benefit, that he would help us. Earth became sort of like, after that, it's like constantly they get hit with things. Yeah.
Well, this is where like the third Doctor was exiled to Earth. So most of John Pertwee's era was based on Earth due to the fact that he was exiled by the Time Lords.
Right.
But yeah, I think that, as you said, like, this is the very first episode where we got UNIT as a constant aspect of the show at the time.
We also saw what it was like for the Doctor to have that type of backup.
Yeah.
Not just running around. I mean, he had so many things at his disposal. Soldiers, scientific equipment, companions just thrown in his lap.
Yeah.
and the military behind him, basically the Earth helping him out. So it was like almost like a good man goes to war type of thing before a good man goes to war. Yeah, like Unit and everybody, you know. So it's like
Even Unit found it difficult to deal with the Autons.
Right.
Yeah, loads of soldiers were killed.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't destroy them really because they were plastic, and the bullets did harm them, but not in a way that stopped them.
It didn't really harm them because
No,
that lady had a shotgun.
Yeah, and
she got like a couple of shells into that sucker.
Yeah,
and
and
that
then
guy just like no.
Yeah, destroyed her. Practically just shot her dead. Yeah.
Well, it killed the dog first, I think.
Yeah, and then like you said in that scene where the Auton goes to the house and literally just murders everyone in the house. It's like that's shocking for Doctor Who. That's horror.
Yeah.
Horror kind of ground. That's not Doctor Who. And it's like that's what I like this episode for. It's like dark Doctor Who. And that's the Doctor Who that I prefer.
Right.
And I think that for a first episode, for an introductory episode, this is like
that was pretty hot.
Yeah, this is a gamble.
That's like a 10 out of 10 for me because like that's something like I could watch constantly.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
There's like similarities between this, I thought, and Deep Breath, like with the fact that it was darker, it had that aspect of death in it, morality, and the Doctor did have amnesia, just like the third Doctor, sorry. So there were loads of similarities between that and Deep Breath.
Nice, Chris.
So.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was just.
Yeah.
This was a free promo comic they were giving away at Gallifrey 1.
Nice.
And like this is like the first time also that I think that the people on Earth were like fully aware that there's aliens around because
they didn't know that. This is like, oh crap.
Yeah, like in even in the hospital bed with the Doctor when the real like the hospital doctor was examining him. And all the press was outside, like, trying to get into picture this guy because he had two hearts.
Right.
It's like, this is proper publicity to the fact that they could, the alien invasion on Earth is imminent. It's real.
And I'm sure they had mentioned stuff in newspapers about the Doctor. If they could get away with it, and it's, just like when, it's the Ninth Doctor. Was it World War III, and the publicity would be like, oh my God, the Doctor, and everything, like he's a celebrity with Unit and everything. So.
Yeah, but I really like this episode. Yeah, this was a good story, particularly as an introduction.
John?
Yeah, I agree with what's been said so far. An historic episode, really. The first Doctor Who episode to be produced in color.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
true.
On location, in color. And the Blu-ray, which is the first way I watched the film, watched this show for the first time about a year ago. The Blu-ray looks beautiful. It looks like like a mid to low budget sci-fi horror feature film. It really has feature film quality to it. I would agree, that the violence is there, the danger of it is there, these faceless killing machines. All of those elements just make it a really special episode.
And his life was completely in Liz Shaw's hands.
Yeah.
I mean, if she didn't know what she was going to do, he was going to be dead. He had to regenerate again. So, like, she basically, this goes to show where it's important to have the right companion. What I'm
that's
saying?
like the first time we ever saw like real pressure on the companion themselves to perform and to save the Doctor.
Yeah.
Let's not forget Pertwee's great getaway in the wheelchair.
Yes.
How fantastic is that? And then he got shot in the head. Well, the bullet grazed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And let's not like Connor talked about earlier about like as far as seeing Pertwee in the role of the Doctor. If I can add on to that, it's like before this we were used to seeing like Pertwee playing in Navy Lark, where he was largely known as like a comedic sort of actor. So a lot of people weren't really sure what kind of tone he was going to take in playing the Doctor.
But you know what I noticed? Like when he woke up on the hospital bed, he was like the second Doctor a little bit, like phasing out. Like he didn't like the way he looked. He's like, oh no, and then he's like, well, I think they used this. You know, he's just like whatever. You know, he the second Doctor phasing into the third in a way. Still had the remains of it, sort of like like when David Tennant, like fantastic, like phasing right out. But you know, even the funny thing was he's in the shower. He's actually in the shower, like naked in the shower, like just.
Yeah.
Well, and he's the first Doctor that we see actually has a tattoo.
Yeah, I never understood that, but anyway.
I guess he was in he was in the Navy on Gallifrey, I guess, because he has like an anchor tattoo on his arm.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Hey, who knows?
but
and
yeah,
he also did this, which was before,
Tom Baker doing it.
Before that.
Yeah.
No, he did that. John Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's great how he comes across his iconic costume, the frills and everything,
Yeah.
He stole it off that guy, didn't he? The guy that was in the hospital. Yeah.
He stole the guy's pimp duds, and he stole his car. Damn.
And he lied. He lied. The Doctor lied. Because this is the first example of, I just need this modulator thing in the TARDIS. Yeah, could you get me the key? And then he's like, peace out. I'm ready to leave. Heck with you. Heck with you. Well, I'm out. Like, he actually, I was like, wow. And she was kind of pissed a little bit, Liz. Like, I can't believe you just did that. And he's like, that was funny.
And he's hiding his spare TARDIS key in his boot.
Yeah.
Shoes, Liz. Shoes. Remember, he keeps saying shoes.
But he was debonair, man.
Yeah. Pertwee's
chilling out, having coffee, just let's get the, pour this chemical into this, and, he was just pretty cool. I mean, even the Brigadier, too, they're between the both of them. The sarcasm. Like, that's when you really saw sarcasm in Doctor Who. Like, they would go, I mean, later episodes will reveal it, but, like, they're going back at each other here and there, little jabs,
Yeah.
But purely...
Like John pointed out, this really felt like a motion picture. When I watched it, because when I first saw this episode, it was probably in like 1987 or 88. So I was in like 7th or 8th grade at the time, and I remember our public television station would always run Tom Baker and Davison, and then they would like get into like Colin Baker, and then they would start back over at Tom Baker.
Right.
Well, I remember I got our circular from public television, Georgia Public Television, and it had a big announcement that they were going to start showing the Pertwee era. And I remember, like, from reading Doctor Who: A Celebration by Peter Haining, it was kind of like my Bible to like the show back when I was like a kid in elementary school. And I was always fascinated by the fact that this character had so many incarnations, and there were some that I'd never seen before, other than I think, by the time I saw Pertwee's era, I actually had seen the 5 Doctors, and I was really interested in seeing how Pertwee actually did on his own, in his own stories. And I remember, like, late Saturday night, I actually got the VHS tape out, fresh tape, ready to record it and everything. And I was, like, blown away by it. I thought it was, like, awesome.
Right. Jacob?
Yep.
What would you like to say about the episode?
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed Spearheads from the series because when the Autons came back in the first episode of Rose, I actually really enjoyed seeing them back again in the Rose episode when Doctor Who first aired back in 2005, and I really enjoyed Spearheads from space. So they were a really good, like, classic monster from the classic series.
Yeah. Connor?
Well, I've said all I needed to say on the episode, really. But, like, credit to John Pertwee, who, coming into... This was when the show really started to kick off. This was when it got more publicity. It kind of really started to become a popular... It started to develop a widespread fan base.
It took on a life all its own.
Yeah.
Went up a couple of tiers after this one.
Yeah, and it's like, credit to John Pertwee, who, throughout his whole era, he was a brilliant Doctor. But I think for an introductory episode, I think in terms of performances by the Doctor himself, this is like one of the best
Yes.
of the introductory episodes. Yeah. This was a real, this was like a sprint start for Pertwee.
And like Connor pointed out, like with the Autons, there was a degree of controversy as far as like the level of violence that the show had experienced at that point, because especially with the follow-up Auton episode with Terror of the Autons, you had like toys that were becoming killing machines, and it got to a point where it was like people were really freaking out about having like a little troll doll coming to life and strangling somebody driving a car, and
Right.
they were really kind of pushing the envelope for the time in the early 70s there.
Yeah.
And the Autons, especially the at the beginning, the one that encountered the farmer and his wife,
Right.
it kind of felt like a bit Michael Myers-ish, kind of from Halloween. You got like this faceless killer who's just stumbling around like killing people and stuff.
Well, how about the guy that used to work in the factory there? Went to America with the doll, comes back, and he's like, "Where's my office?"
And that was
What the hell is this?
Yeah, that was Terror of the Autons. Because it turned into a doll factory that was producing these dolls that were coming to life, animated dolls. It was that was Terror. That wasn't Spearhead from Space.
No, I'm talking about Spearhead. No, I'm talking about Spearhead from Space, where like the guy was talking to the boss, and he said, what's going on here? Why is the whole layout of the factory changed?
Oh yeah. It happened
No, it is
again in
Spearhead.
Terror.
No, it is Spearhead. No, I'm talking. No, I'm talking.
I know you're talking about Spearhead, but it was like exactly the same kind of concept in Terror of the Autons.
Yeah, but let's got sidetracked. But
Yeah.
So we got introduced to that the Brigadier, okay, has people above him. I mean, he can only do so much because the superior officers, also like say, hey, no, he's gonna have his hands tied a little bit. So, he's not the to do everything. Like he is restricted, but then there's ways about how does he go about behind the scenes getting things done with that. And the Brigadier comes into his own because he gets known in the public eye, he gets known in military experience to where years later, he's very powerful, face on Earth, So, but like he builds himself each year, with these different invasions that happen with Earth, and he makes a name for himself where he can pull a lot of strings after a while. So.
And you've got his general turning into an Auton, haven't you? Because General Scobie, I think his name was.
Scobie, yeah.
Yeah, he got turned into an Auton, and that was like the first time that we'd ever seen a human get turned.
Well, he was having them built a thing of him, and then it replaced him, and it took over, and then when that got killed, he was free.
Yeah.
So.
And the actor Hugh Burden that played Channing was excellent. Just the right degree of creepy, understated,
His
underplayed
eyes.
creepy.
Like when the Brigadier and then they come and the guy's just staring at him, like he's not even looking at him. He's like,
yeah.
And Brigadeer's like, what the F are you looking at? Like, what the hell? What's wrong with this guy? Like he's looking at him. It's like freaky deaky, dude.
Yeah, he reminded me a bit of Vaughn from The Invasion, the Patrick Charlton.
Yeah, he was just.
Yeah.
The guy was out there. It's like, oh, he's an Auton. Oh yeah. It's like the head of the Autons.
I love the Brigadier from the old classic series. The Brigadier was awesome. Just
hell yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Especially like when he gets like members of the unit that don't die.
Yeah.
That's like Sergeant Benton and Michael Yates, a few people. These are like the red shirts.
Yeah.
Like, these guys are getting like whacked.
Which becomes an ongoing trend. You have your unit guys that get blasted away.
And they kind of show the sneakiness. Like, you have a reporter that's being a janitor just to get scoops if anything happened in this place. Like this, in the old school telephone booths, they're like calling in the story to,
Was that Hibbert?
Yeah, in the beginning, he's just like, like he's vacuuming them up or whatever, and he's like, hey, this guy,
Now, what's interesting is at some years later, like quite a number of years later, they actually they did a fan-made video where it was a transition mini episode between War Games and Spirit of the Sea. That's actually quite interesting if you watch it.
With John Pertwee. Yeah, that was like his filmed, right?
That was Doctor Who Devious, I think. I think that was the name of it. Yeah.
Devious or Besieged? No, was it Devious? Yeah.
I think it was Devious, yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah,
Was that the one with the unknown doctor?
Yes. That's the one where, like,
in between.
Pertwee filmed it, like, a year before he died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Liz Shaw, too, we got to see a new companion. You know, she had her stuff together, you know?
And she's a good companion, although her stay wasn't very long, because she left at the end of that mini-season in Inferno.
Yeah.
And I think that she kind of, for what she had, she was pretty good.
But you also had the doctor driving a car.
Yeah.
You know? And he's like, I want that car.
And then we get Bessie in the next episode, don't we?
Yeah, they got a car similar. That one was red.
Yeah,
the precursor to Bessie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Then Bessie appeared in the next one.
Yes. So, fantastic. For me, 10 out of 10. Easy.
Yeah.
I agree.
That's one of the few 10 out of 10 I could legitimately give that ranking to, because that's only reserved for, like, the best.
It's got to be, you got to be able to watch that. Every time it's on, you just sit there and watch it. You know, some episodes you can't just sit there and watch. Like, oh, I'll watch something else. This I could actually watch this every time it's on.
Yeah, we got the first reverse the polarity of the neutron flow mentioned in the Pertwee era. The big line of Pertwees that runs throughout his era.
I mean, this was enjoyable. This was, you know, replay action. You know what I mean? I honestly, it set the stage. We're always like, oh, cool, Brigadier, I can see him next episode, and you know what I'm saying? Like, it was just, and the TARDIS was not a main aspect. I mean, it was just. In a way,
this was the second episode that Robert Holmes wrote, the amazing Robert Holmes, that would later, in Tom Baker's era, become a massive, massive name in Doctor Who. One of the best writers ever, I think, for the show. And yeah, for a second episode after the Crotons, this is bloody brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was made
First one to say.
Oh, what season of Doctor Who was this, and what year did it come out?
Season 7,
Season 7, 1970.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I've never seen it.
Well, we'll try to get you to see it, but excellent stuff.
Was this the first episode that was shot entirely on film?
Color.
No, but I mean on film.
Yeah.
You could tell the style too. It looked like a friggin' movie. I'm sorry. Looks like the budget got up too, right?
Yeah, I mean they like feasibly, and I'm not like saying that they should do this by any means, but I'm saying like feasibly, if they wanted to actually put like the Doctor in a theatrical film, excluding the Peter Cushing films of the '60s, of course. But I'm saying like if they could do a film like if like this sort of movie would be great for an introduction to a Doctor. And, you know, like a full concept story from beginning to end.
And each part was 25 minutes, a little over 25 minutes, and there's 4 parts. The, like nowadays, an episode is like 45 minutes? 44 minutes,
yeah.
Yeah, each part was 25 minutes. So, like, well over an hour and a half.
It's not much room for character development, to be honest.
Well, yeah, but back then they had character development.
Yeah, I mean, like, the Brigadier and stuff, you know, you got character development. But, like, you know, it's more compared to nowadays. But, like, sometimes, like, particularly in this one, you get characters killed off so quickly to move the plot along, you know, it was, you know, but still it was brilliant, you know. And it was the shortest story of this entire season, season 7, because we got three six-parters after this.
Yeah. So, all right. Final thoughts, or will you still want to talk?
I had a question.
Spearhead. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jacob.
No, it's okay. He can go ahead first.
John.
Yeah.
Yeah, John.
Oh, me?
Jacob, yeah.
Oh, I don't really have anything else. A great episode. The Nestine conscious, they love that plastic. They should go over to China and like take over those factories, like take over
Yeah, yeah.
Foxconn. You know, imagine that.
Sure. Chris?
Oh yeah, in the '60s, I remember seeing. Well, I mean, I don't remember seeing it in the '60s, but I remember seeing a documentary about Doctor Who in the '60s, and there was like in the '60s there was two versions of Doctor Who. They had like several movies that they released in the '60s, and there was like a version of Doctor Who where he was a tinkerer and an inventor, and he wasn't a Time Lord.
That was the
Peter
that was-
Cushing.
yeah. Thank you.
It's kind of steampunk too. It's
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
There you go.
Very
Flying
steampunk.
around.
Love that.
Bernard Cribbins.
Very steampunk.
Bernard Cribbins, yeah, he was in that too.
And in that case, Barbara was his. Was Barbara his granddaughter and Susan was his granddaughter?
Yeah, I think he had I didn't actually see the episode. I saw a documentary about like 1960s Doctor Who, and they showed a clip from it. Yeah, he had like a granddaughter who was like his personal assistant, and he had constructed the TARDIS from scratch. He was an inventor who invented a time machine. Yeah, it was a different take. It might actually be interesting if they did with the modern Doctor Who, if they did like that was like a parallel universe, and maybe we would connect with that.
People said that too, like Moffat, said something like that or whatever.
Of course, Moffat would. Jeez.
But
Yeah.
the funny thing, and I say this every now and then, but the parody of Doctor Who, we got Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. That was a telephone booth, and unfortunately, it wasn't bigger on the inside, but.
And George Carlin was in those films. He would have made a great doctor.
And that's where Moffat got his whole theory on time travel from Bill and Ted, because leaving messages for himself and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's exactly what he got for 11 Doctor's time.
And let that be a lesson that Spearhead from Space, you can actually do like compartmentalized episodes, and you can do like things that are pushed for time and still have character development. And not have all this weird, extravagant crap going on, and you can focus on the real stories, and get out of this fantasy world, and get more into like sci-fi, because it's like Doctor Who's about sci-fi. It's not fantasy,
Right.
It's a touch of fantasy, but let's get out of this fantasy world that Moffat's had us in.
I've always perceived Doctor Who to be sci-fi and fantasy.
Well, it's more
Become
sci-fi,
fantasy.
but it's kind of more the new Who that you've been watching, Chris. It has leaned more in that direction, but classic Who's like more sci-fi concepts with a touch of fantasy here and there with things. They've got a little bit top heavy with the fantasy element.
It's like when companions died in the past, like Adric, he stayed dead. That's it. The screen went black, boom. But anyway, we don't have to review that episode for another year or so, but still. All right, so what is the vote, Connor? What do you give the episode?
I give this 10 out of 10. It's a sprint start for Pertwee, and it's set up for a brilliant era for Doctor Who.
John?
10 out of 10, of course.
Jacob?
Yeah, 10 out of 10.
Mike D, 10 out of 10, right?
I'm one of those people that hate 10 out of 10 stuff.
I know.
But I gotta tell you
Come on.
that's why when I tell you this is a 10 out of 10, it's a legitimate
Legitimate.
seal of approval 10 out of 10, because
Right.
they could not have made this episode better, and it is.
Right. Absolutely. I absolutely agree. They could not make it better in any way, shape, or form.
I do recommend this episode as well for a startup episode for the series.
Yeah.
I give this episode an NA out of 10. An NA out of 10.
He didn't see the episode yet, so.
Yeah, you don't count.
I
All right,
know.
so now
It's the
I'm going to let my director there, Connor. You want to tell everybody what the next episode is?
The next episode is the six-parter, the Silurians. Yep. So
That was a good one.
Connor's going to make fantastic graphics
yes, I will
for
continue to do
this.
that.
It's going to be on the Real Whovians cast on Facebook. And the thing is, I just anybody who wants to be on there, contact Connor, contact myself. We're gonna try to do this fast, guys. Okay, I'm not screwing around either. Maybe we'll do it tomorrow, unless I get outvoted. Maybe we'll do it Friday. I want to try to get it out. Review that. We don't play. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
we're not going to be stringing this out like every weekend, for example, or whatever.
no.
You know,
We're not gonna get like 2 reviews or one classic review a week. Now we're gonna be popping out like 10 in like 6 days probably.
Yeah, because people really, a lot of people are more familiar with the new series, so
Right.
there's a lot of interest in the older series, and I think it'll be fun for them to, watch that throughout the week instead of just one episode, maybe seeing a couple, 2 or 3 or whatnot, and they'll be able to come on and get involved with talking about the show, and they'll be able to watch them with us, and
Yeah.
it'll compartmentalize it a lot more and get it out there, so that's good.
Yeah. All right, so Solarian's next.
Yeah, lots to talk about on that one, for sure.
Get ready. All right. Thank you, my guests, everybody.
Pleasure having